My name is Billy Monama. I want to welcome everyone for joining us today on the first day of South African guitar workshop. So it's going to take like about 5 days. So I don't like talking sitting, but I will try to do my best because I need to talk and play. First, we would like to thank the support of the City of Johannesburg, to bring this workshop to life. And from past years, since 2016, I've been doing workshops, different institutions. I won't talk a lot. We'll play some more. But I want to give you just a bit of a background why this is happening. Is that in 2016, so many students I went to do the workshop at institutions, they've always called me to come to visit their schools, but it is not always practical that I can visit all the schools and do a presentation of such amount of work within 1 hour. And so that is why I decided that, I'm going to do a 5 days so that we can all of us consume and grasp what we need to grasp in these 5 days. So now I'm going to get straight into it. The most music that, we hear on radio today, it comes from somewhere. They say that, Marabi is the formation of, South African music. But where it starts, as far as guitar is concerned, it starts from Maskanda. So, Maskanda guitar, it starts as far from the innovators such as the, George Sibaya. I would like to have like a family, a tree of, the guitar players, level, so that they can see the family tree of Maskanda. As you see there, that is a family tree of the guitar players from George Sibaya, Petrus Mtambo. Petrus Mtambo is the one introduced what is called ukupika. Ukupika is when you picking with your fingers. The finger picking. Such great masters like Petrus Mtambo are the ones greatest innovators. They are not all of them there. But I chose to bring this groundbreaking guitarist to the fourth because they had something special to offer. They were groundbreaking guitars. So now, the whole entire series, we will be talking about the groundbreaking guitarists and musicians. I'm talking about innovators. I know there's so many of them. And then we have John Bengu. John Bengu, his name, affectionately, his name is Puzu Shugela. I know that you know Puzi Kemis. There was Puzi Shukela before. Puzi Shukela, his real name was John Bengu. He was the successful Maskanda guitar player of all time before the rest. He introduced, all these electric instruments and dancers and all that. So now we have Mphatheni Khumalo. Do you know who Mphatheni Khumalo is? I'm sure you don't know. It is Puzi Chemist. Puzi Chemist, his name is Mphatheni Khumalo. Is another groundbreaking, guitarist under the style of isiZulu. Then we have Inkunzi Yomdaka. So now, when you listen to Maskanda, it is very broad. There is also Isimpondo. So now, when we speak about Isimpondo, then we speak about the innovators like Inkunzi Yomdaka. And then we have Mfiliseni Magubane. If you listen to Sarafina, all those greatest records, he played the acoustic there. Is Shia man. He's a great innovator of that kind of Shia man. I cannot say innovator. Let me say just one of the great, groundbreaking guitarists under the style. And then the Shiani Ngob. Peggy Mkhwebane. So we had to put some female when we speak about Ndebele guitar. And Mkashion Jov. He played a very unique style of Maskanda called, I call it Amahu, because it's so special. But now, Sister Lebu, you can take us back. Now, isiZulu, Maskanda sub-styles. I need to speak about, many people, they think about Maskanda as like, just playing the acoustic guitar and people, Basha Indlamu and all that. There are sub-styles of that style of music. You have isiZulu, ukhona isikhuze. There is Ispoinandi, Umbabane, Umzanzi, Isimpondo, Neshia man. Without talking too much about this, I want to go into the practicality of it and invite one of the guests, award-winning Maskanda guitar player, who has, managed to cross over all these sub-styles. We're going to be talking about them. We look at the family tree that will be showing on the screen and the sub-styles and the sound of it. The sound of Maskanda is not the same. So now it differs from the regions after regions. It's influenced by the dance and the rhythmic of the place.
My name is Billy Monama. I'm a guitarist, composer, a researcher, and an arranger. For now I can say that, I am unpublished author. But maybe it's in September I will be also an author, and I'm a producer as well. So I'm a guitar player, and this is what I do. That is why I'm here today, to talk about this project that has to do with the memory of the Black South African musicians, but especially looking at focusing on the guitar, because the guitar is so significant. It is what defines South African music. If you listen to Chitsonga music, if you listen to Maskanda music, Mpaqanga, all those elements, they identify South African music. That is why, that's how I even started playing the guitar, because it was an instrument that it has been dominating the music. It starts the introduction of the songs, so yeah. I would describe my music as, as a combination of other elements that they've influenced me, because I grew up listening to American jazz, South African jazz. And also I played in bands like, pop bands and, R&B bands, So when I write music, all these elements, they just, visit me, by default, without trying to create something that, I don't know how to explain it better, but trying to be extraordinary. So when I write a song, I don't decide that this song is going to be a jazz song. It just comes out and then it becomes that, because that's what I consume. I believe that each and every artist, they are the reflection of what they listen. If you listen to jazz, automatically you will write a jazz song, and when you're always consuming, gospel, you're going to become a gospel musician. Yeah.
There's someone very important in the audience, but he's a very humble guy. He doesn't like to be introduced, in public, but he's from the city of Johannesburg. That's the reason I'm standing here today, because of this partnership. They made it possible. We have our dignitary, Mr. Vuyisile Mshudulu. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. You wanna give the vote of thanks? I think a word or two for you, it will be great. I'm sorry to ambush you.
No, it's okay. I think it's still morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Billy, that was very empowering and enriching.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Although Babu would have loved to hear how it differs from Babu Shirinda, but it's okay. As I was sitting here, I was just thinking that how much value we place on things that are not of our own. And at the same time of doing that, we risk erasing, our essence of being as Africans. And this is really an effort to try and re-engineer our cognitive capacity, so that it's more anchored on the essence of who we are as Africans, and in particular Black people.
Yes.
And going back to the forebears and the inspiration that they had to look ahead and chart a way forward, and creating sounds that are leaving clues at every step of the way to remind us of the essence and the power that we hold as Africans, So whilst there are those who enjoy consuming music, there are also those who preoccupy themselves with creating the music. And I think it's really encouraging to see a generation that has, made it their business to have interest in the creation of music and not just be consumers. Because as Africans, for far too long, we have been consuming things that are not of our own and not creating enough content that reflects who we are. So I really want to thank you for inspiring and planting that seed, that one day in 100 years, you will be in the family tree as well. And someone else in the audience hopefully will be talking about you and how you inspired them to be great. And Babu Mokoena is really a legend, and somebody that, for many, many, many years has inspired and shaped our, our ears to be always in tune to the ground. By the way, Bradaki is also alive.
Yes. I interviewed him actually,
Yes.
I had a privilege of interviewing him. Man, I got so much stories to share, but they will be in the book.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity. As a city, these are the things that, do not get publicized, but these are the interventions that we make to make sure that there is a new generation of creators that will come through and continue to supply the world with South African music. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sebon.
Sanibonani babukeli umbuzeni lo amkhize usibhaqbhamiseni pikodo sesomanda zabo nqulisa amacala uJojo Mantenta soguba eqolo ngithi undanda kwabo smart ngiyalile ngibithela bazongizona abasemsathana umbuzeni lo wakamkhize ocula uMaskandi njengoba ngilapha sisebenza nobhuti Billy ngokuthi sizofundisa izingane isiginci njengoba mina ke ngishaya umaskandi ngizofundisa nomaskandi nanomlando ukuthi umaskandi uqhamuka kuphi njengoba sazi ukuthi kunobaba ophushukela okuyibona ifounder yamaskandi so mina ngizofundisa izingane ukuthi isiginci sishawa kanjani njengoba ngumbuze nje ngicabanga ukuthi ababukeli bangazi ngi-international ngiqhamuke eMkhomazi shuthi ngisho nje njengoba sila eJoburg Theatre about isiginci mina i-department yami ukushaya umaskandi njengoba ngaziwa njengomculi kaMaskandi. Shuthi ngiqale ukushaya isiginci ngisesemakhaya kwawukuthi kunobaba abadala abashaya umaskandi ngibale nje like obaba uphuze Chemes ngithe ngoba ke mina ngimncane umaskandi bekwazi ukuthi umculo odlalwa abantu abadala sebekhulile ngathanda ukuthi mina ngiyouth ngimncane ngishaya isiginci ngikhombisa ukuthi lo mculo wesintu akusho ukuthi kufanele uzushawa abantu abadala nathi siyintsha nje singawenza umaskandi ngoba fanele siziqhenye ngomculo owakithi omnandi.
Lesedi Mkhize here. Wow. So, wow. Welcome, Lesedi. Yeah. You know, because you know we've been doing this thing for the past 3 days, but now for those who they came today, they wanna be fed this information. And the most frequent question I always get, Billy, what is the tune of Maskanda? What is the tuning of Maskanda? You know, so can you take us to the guitar tree of Maskanda musicians? So there were musicians from Bulawayo. They came to South Africa to seek for gold, just like anyone. They came to the City of Joburg. And you look at George Siband, the Josiah Hadebe. Those two guitar players, they're from Zimbabwe. Yeah. They came up with a style of music, the kind of playing of the guitar. So, ukuvampa is when they mean that they strum. So this is how it used to sound. So they used to call it ukuvampa. They passed in the street corners, found by, the Gallo records. I mean, early then. George Sibanda a hit called Gwabi Gwabi. But now then there was a Zulu guitar player, Petros Mtamba. He introduced the picking, the finger picking, but to ukupika. You know, but to pick, they picked in classical is the same thing. They do pick as well. You know what I'm saying? So ukupiga is nothing new. But now, the thing about Maskanda technique is that the right hand ikhuluma ne-bass, i-bass isuka icula enye into, and then the other strings they are singing something else. We'll get to that.
Shuthi isiginci njengoba ngasiqala ngimncane ngisafunda isikole. Ngaqala ngesiginci ngabuye lapho ngashaya i-keyboard ngaphinde ngashaya i-bass guitar kodwa ngingasho ukuthi engikwenzayo ithalente lami labalikhulu kakhulu ukushaya umaskandi isiginci ngoba nje sesingihambisile kakhulu njengoba na-overseas sengibuya khona ngaso lesiginci amazwe nje sengiwahambile ngibala o-China ngibala o-India ngibala o-Russia ngibala o-Brazil ngibale o-Turkey ngaso lesiginci bengihamba kakhulu kwi-BRICS ngaphinde ngashaya ishow ngajabulisa ama-China besise Beijing ngajabula kakhulu ukuthi umculo wami ngishaya ngesizulu kodwa ukwazi ukujabulelwa ama-China engangizwa ukuthi ngithini kodwa ngesimo sokuthi i-instrument yami nesiginci sami sibenza ukuthi bajabule ngajabula ukuthi shuthi lento engiyenzayo iyenza ukuthi ilalelwe nayizizwe zonke hayi ukuthi uzobe ngoba ngishaya ngesizulu kuzoze kube umZulu silalela ama-China asijabulela ise-Turkey basijabulela bonke nje abantu mengishaya isiginci bakujabulela shuthi ngasho nje ukuthi amashow engiwahambile angijabulisa kakhulu overseas as uMaskandi abantu bawuthatha kuyinto enzima kodwa ngibafundisile nabanye asebedumile kuyimanje sebe osaziwayo bengangithatha isikhathi ngoba mina ngiyakwazi ukuthi umuntu ongakwazi ukushaya into ngimcathulise kahle kancane ezegcine ekwazi understand isiginci sesizulu ngoba uMaskandi akona akusona isiginci lesi sifana nokuthi like jazz uthi ubamba i-chord uthi minor chord ufuna uyishaye ngesizulu ngesintu kahle kodwa ngiyakwazi nje maningi nje sengibafundisile ngegama lami uthi umbuzeni asebedumile nje uthi umbuzeni ukwazile wangifundisa ngilapha le ngikhona nje umbuzeni baningi nje ngingabala kakhulu ngibafundisile.
Because now people they always ask the question ukuthi what kind of a Maskanda is this one? Maskanda, when you look at people like the John Bengu, John Bengu, his name was Puzi Shugela.
Yeah.
Inkuz Malanga Ezulu.
Yeah.
And then, followed by, Upuzi Kemis.
Yeah.
So now, isiZulu. Can you demonstrate us a sound of isiZulu with sound kanjani? Because I want to make a relation with isiZulu, how it sound and Nespoinand. Yeah.
isiZulu like uphuze kemes.
Yes.
Ngoba wasazi kahle ukuthi uMaskandi
Yes.
uhluke ngokuthi uqhamuka kuphi.
Yes.
Kunokuthi mina ngiqhamuka eMkhomazi. Njengoba uphuze kemes eqhamuka eMkhomazi. Kunendlela yaseMkhomazi okushawa ngayo ukuthi uMkhomazi. Ubaba uwashela imhlophe uqhamuka ngapha kompangeni. Kunendlela abagida ngayo empangeni. Sonke siqhamuke endawo egodini engahlukene. Lokho kwenza ukuthi egodini engahlukene nengoma yakhona neginqi shuthi ihlukile. Ngizoqala ngophuza kemes. Nesithi isiZulu. Phuza kemes uthi ephinde ethi still isiZulu.
Yeah.
Still isiZulu kodwa esasemkhomazi.
Yeah.
Bese ngiya like for instance ubaba uyashela imhlophe. IsiZulu kodwa from empangeni. Like le ngoma nje ezinsizwa amabutho.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm a finger pick. Yeah. Abantu abanjengabo John Bengu abaphuzi Shugela afika nini in terms of abantu ukuthi basebenzise amapika before what were they using ama finger plectrums
bebesebenzisa isandla.
Yeah.
Isandla ngoba buthotha akafiki lokho kushaya
Yeah.
kodwa besikwazi ukuthi sizakhele sikusike sikwenze kanje ukufakela sizakhele eyethu kodwa push Shugela yena ubengasebenzi ngoba ubengasebenzisi ama finger uyabona ubethi nje
Oh yeah.
thola ukuthi
Yeah.
still kusaphuma isound kodwa kune sound isoft le nokusebenzisa isandla uphushukela babe ngoba abantu abadala singakafiki izinto lezi zokushaya bebesebenzisa nje isandla.
Njengoba ngilapha ngifundisa izingane uMaskanda ukuthi uba kanjani. Into engijabulisile nje njengade sisebenza nayizolo ngibona izingane zesikole seyiperforma ingoma ngalendlela sezifila lento yamaskandi ukuthi ihamba kanjani. Kwangijabulisa lokho ukubona izolo ziperforma zishaya umaskandi ngabona ukuthi into engiyenzayo nezingane ziyajabula sho lento esiyenza noBilly kukhulu leya eyakhona nezingane nje isikhathi sesincane sisenzile seziyaqala ukunderstand ukuthi umaskandi uhamba kanje.
My style has developed because I learned so much from when I started playing in 1997. So then, I knew how to play only one style, and then that was umpatanga. I was introduced to play that style of music from the young age. So when later I was growing up, and then I got influenced by other music like jazz, and then I developed, then I went to school, I studied music. When I was at school, then I learned other music like the bossa novas and so forth. Then I did a cultural exchange program. I taught, I went to Europe, I went to Mozambique. Then I developed another consciousness of African rhythms. Then I was introduced to, different rhythms, of African rhythms, and so my music has developed over the years. I was inspired by many, musicians, from not just the guitar players, but, even the piano players, the saxophone players, like, the Kipi Mwekezi, the Abdullah Ibrahim, and the Jimmy Lulu, the Slylo, the Alan Kwela, George Benson, Wes Montgomery, so there's a vast of them, who has inspired me. The Swangile Kumalo, those. I mean, like back then, there was just so much platform for that music, because when you tune TV, you will see like the shows like Meloding, the techniques of the beat, whereby they will be interviewing those, and then before the prime time news, there will be like a song, So it was. I think I grew up at the right time, I could imagine now growing up now what could have. Maybe if I was to grow up now with this generation, I could have maybe been a hip hop artist,
Hi, I'm David. I play the bass guitar. I heard Billy talking on Kai FM, and it sounded like the most amazing couple of days and the most amazing program, and I wasn't disappointed at all. So yeah, I've come from the first day to the last day. Missed one day, but I had to catch up with school stuff. And it's just been the most incredible experience, what Billy's done is just, it's something I hope everybody can experience, so that we can all start to kind of rejoin that history and start building those memories again, which I think was his main objective. But I mean, he did it in such style, and the opportunities that I've had in order, to play with real living legends, Temba Mokoena and Buzi Mkize. It's like, it's just incredible, and I'm very grateful for this whole experience. I love South African jazz and South African music. It's a big part of, it's like, we got to take environmental influence first. You gotta take influence from what's around you and what's happening. And it's like, even if you come from a background where you think that you're not going to be exposed to all culture or all South African culture, whatever, it's around, and it's like, it's a very silly idea to think that you're in any way separate from that.
Hello guys, my name is Luyanda Msiza, and I'm from Eastern School of the Arts, and I came to Joburg Theatre because I wanted to know more about South African music, since we're learning about South African music in our school. And what I've learned here is that there are many different types of South African music, and I find it interesting. So, especially in African jazz. And I believe that I can sing. Since today, when I came here, I just had a wonderful feeling that I can do it. Which was fun, actually. I appreciate that invitation because now I'm realizing that I can be a singer one day, just like my favorite artist, like Harry Styles, who's doing pop music. Yeah, that's all I have.
The reason I chose to do a 5-day workshop, for me, it is very important that we do something about the memory of the Black South African music who were not documented. And there were so many musicians who were undocumented, and their names, they were written incorrectly. That makes it difficult for researchers, even the students, everyone who is interested in this kind of sub-styles like Umpaqanga and Maskanda, Kwela, and and Chitonga. They can't find that information because it was not correctly documented.
Igama lami nginguThemba Mokoena. Ngibuya le Maritzburg eMkhungundlo. Obaba udlala isiginci. Isiginci nina kodwa phela nithi guitar. Ubaba udlala ijazz umthetho wakhe. Kodwa ke noma yini ubaba uyayidlala empeleni. Lokho kudlalwayo baba ufika adlala. Ya, uba nothando lwawo umusic qala. Uthande wona nje umusic. Ya, sometimes uthola ukuthi udlala i-guitar, udlala i-piano. Udlala i-piano, uyanothi kodwa uthando lo music qala. Uzothi noma usuyithatha i-guitar ke. Uzothi noma usuyithatha leyo guitar ke mntana nami ke manje. Ngoba i-guitar akuyona wena usuke ucula. Akuyona uculayo no. Ngiperformile no Brayu Masekela, Osibongile Khumalo, Jonas Gwango, boy baningi ngibuya ku-America ngihambile futhi. Indabende mntanami mangayichaza. uBilly ngimbone kudala mangiqala ukumbona. Ngimbone lapha ko-baseline. Khona indawo kuthiwa baseline la besipracticela khona. Sa-introduce-ana-ke wangitshela ukuthi hayi uBilly udlala isiginci naye uzothanda ukuthi angivakashele ekhaya. Hayi ngempela akafike futhi angivakashele uBilly. Sihlale sibonisane sifundisane.
So this is how these two guitars, they got married. So now we have another group of groundbreaking guitarists. You can take us to the electric era. So now there's a generation of guitar players that came around the 50s, the 60s. They were composers, and also they were, they were sidemen. One special person I could bring to forth is Malombo, Philip Daban. He did not play like others, like he was special. And I know this, I get this a lot. they say, some of the students, some of the participants, they're like, but why didn't you speak about this certain guitar player? Why do you speak about this certain guitar player? It's because here we are presenting people who brought something special in the music. I'm talking about the groundbreaking musicians. There was a lot of them, but these, each and every one, they brought something special. They offer something special that they didn't offer. I'm talking about innovators. You listen to Philip Diamond. He detuned his guitar from the E string. He tuned like Maskanda. And he used like lots of a flat 7 scale. Lily Molly. Ilali udwile ke mwana wa khaitsedi ya go haye. That was Malombo. You know, he was not about. You know what I'm saying? He will play some counter lines as well. Wow. The Lucky Ranku, you know, he was like another, you know, jazz guitar player who came, you know, who was inspired by Malombo. Now, when we look at the Johnny Fori, the Alan Kwela, the Cyril Magubane, now those guitar players, they were influenced highly by the Wes Montgomery. So now, I mean, General Duze, he was part of that generation as well, because he then switched, he played the electric guitar. But now they brought another sound. They brought another sound of jazz of, you know, those people, the older musicians say like the jazz of the 1960s. There's a BC, there is a black consciousness time, at the black consciousness era. So when we have Tagitau, he was a man who brought a different vamping into this music, the 145. So now, his vamp, it was heard in the records. What is it doing? So that was like Tagita. You see that the things that they recorded. He's still alive. I managed to interview him. All these guitar players, I have their biographies, you know, displayed in the upcoming book. So now now we're just speaking about the demonstration, how they shaped and how they influenced the music. You listen to him from the bands like the Movers, you know, how they advanced this, the cliche, vamping. So he was. So that's how they play. So now we have, you know, the people like the Temba Mukwena, Baba Mukwena. So now we're gonna do something about Baba Mokoena. He had like a flat 7 harmony thing was happening. He advanced the harmony as well. Thank you so much, but you know, and then you have like people who like the Alan Quellas. The Alan Quellas, they came and they advanced the harmony as well. You know, you listen to the past, present, future. You know how they incorporated that with the Rabbi. So now, if you listen to the composition "Past, Present, Future" by Alan Quella, it is written in a bebop melody. In a bebop melody, but the structure is still a 1 1 4 1/5. So this is how. Thank you so much. Now, the most Mohale, one thing that I heard, and then I picked it up. I'm like, this guitar player is hip. He's because he advanced. You know, the harmony for me, he played a 1, and then he played a substituted with a flat 7, and then he played a dominant 7 movement of a 1/4/5. You know, I'm sure you know you. He was all about that. So now we bring special people that who brought change in development in the guitar, innovators. You know, so now like Mr. Mokoena is here with us. He's on the family tree because he had like songs like the Sobantus. workshop, right here. So this was his composition called Sobantu. Check it out. Yeah.
So when I did a tour in 2016, a national tour, I went to different institutions, and all the time when I leave the institutions is that the students, they will be asking me to come back to school. And at the schools, they give me only 1 hour, 1 hour to present this. And it is not practical to present so much work from the 1930s to 1980s in 1 hour. It's not practical. So now the reason I did a 5-day workshop is because I can present all these sub-styles without compromise of time. And it is not easy for one to just grasp, that information within 1 hour. There's just so much. I'm telling you, until today is day 5, and I'm sure that if I may ask someone what happened on day 1, they will be, like not sure what's happening. But by day 5, the achievement, what I wanted to achieve, was that everyone is inclined with this presentation that I'm doing with this workshop. So now on day 1, it was quite special for me because is seeing the different students from different institutions, because we had like varsities, we had Vet University, we had UNISA, and the Eastern School of the Arts, and other people, privately professional musicians who came through the workshop and participated in this workshop. For me, it made me happy to see that we are getting advanced. And the reason, again, I should mention before I proceed about day 2, is that, music education, as far as African syllabus is concerned, is being given a peripheral, position. Not a central one, because the teachers at schools themselves, they are lacking dimensions and training in African music. This thing starts when the teacher, as a student, you go to school, you learn, European curriculum, you learn American jazz. When you complete your studies, when you become a teacher later on, what are you going to teach? You're going to teach what you've been taught at school. So now that African content, we need it to be in school. We need that to be part of the syllabus. But now, as we want it to be part of the syllabus, we need to have something to show, books. We need to write books, tutorial books, educational books, that we can say, okay, we had enough of this Western, syllabus. But they will ask us, the schools will ask us, okay, so if you say that we should eradicate this Western syllabus in schools, where is the material? There's no material. So that is why I encourage many of the musicians to take part in this, especially the youth. So because we are fighting a different struggle from the youth of the 1976. They fought against the apartheid as a medium language. So now we need to fight to advance the education system. So we are a different generation. So it's all up on us that we need to fight, to change the system in the thing. We're not saying that we should eradicate totally, that's curriculum, because we need a balance, African content and European content, So seeing that, on day 1, kids learning about Maskanda, and we had like a Maskanda facilitator. I invited facilitators in this. I invited Mbuzeni Mkize, Maroya Chauke, who's dealing with, Chitonga, and, there was Temba Mukwena, who is a legend, he was, facilitating the Mpatanga and African jazz, and myself, I was just, being monitoring that the whole program is going accordingly. And then day 2, the students, they started getting what I'm trying to do, because first time you come to the workshop, people, they're like, is this just a guitar workshop? And I'm like, no, this is not a guitar workshop. We are focusing on the guitar, but the guitar, it had like, it needs sidemen, the bass player, the piano player. We needed that to accompany the guitar to shine.
Listen to the drama and the brass.
Yes.
The drama
can you just even give them? Can you give them just even like a tom, like a ten to cue him in? Yeah, or else
No, let him listen to the saxophones, the brass section, to complete the whole cycle.
Yeah.
So everyone, they came with their questions. They had questions. Many of them, they had questions, because I presented information that it is hardly there at school. They don't even have it at school. They mentioned that for the first time, they see all this personnels I've presented, and the styles of music that I've presented, because at school it's like only 5% of that curriculum, part of the curriculum. So the questions, they came each and every day. Day 3, they were asking me about how was the politics and music in sync. Then I had Sipo Mabuse, is a legend as well, to unpack, all the influences, how the politics then they influence the music, and music being a weapon that brought change, liberation against the apartheid government. So he spoken about so many things, and Mr. Mabuse also engaged with the students. He taught them his song, because why I chose him is because he's knowledgeable, and he's a legend, and he's very smart. He didn't go to school to study music and all that, but he's unique in his own way, and his compositions are not like the same other musicians who composed the music over 145. So he had a different style of writing music. That is why I called him, because of his speciality.
Well, my name is Sipo Mabuse, otherwise known as Hot Sticks in the music industry, and I make music, as you all know. I make South African music, and I've worked with a number of musicians. I interact with, I try to engage many young musicians to advise in either way. Absolutely, my style has always evolved. I've always considered myself a curious musician, someone that always wants to learn new things, new ideas, and new thought into music. And maybe that's why people cannot pigeonhole me into a kind of music that they think that's where I belong. I energize the audience and ensure that the songs that they want to hear are the ones that I perfectly practice, and of course I'll change them every now and then so that they remain fresh. This is very important for young people to know, that there's always a history, there's always a background to things that they can advance for themselves. And I consider it a privilege for me to be here, to be able to share personal experiences with young people. I don't want to suggest that young people must be pushed to pursue jazz as the only music that they should do. Young people should make music that they feel comfortable with, as long as they understand that the music that they are making is going to engage society, it's going to advance some of the issues that the society is faced with. But I don't even think that it would be fair for us to consider ourselves custodians of what good music is.
President, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Okay.
Thank you so much, man, for coming.
Hi, Sanbonani, Dumela. What do you want to do? You want to undress me? Oh, okay. Do I need to take this now?
No, not now.
Not now.
Later.
You can just do that and you can just put it on there.
President, I did not want to repeat the same questions that they have been asked over the years, because I'm sure you've done thousands of interviews in your life whereby the questions were seemingly like repetitive. But because me, I know you personally, I will ask.
You're privileged, bro.
I'm privileged. Yes. No, it is true. I'm privileged,
If I were you, I'd be jealous.
Yeah. I'm privileged. I worked with the older generations at the young age, from the Mount Dorothy, the Abigail, the youth. And there were so many stories that they've been told that they are not written in the book. And so many books that have been written is like a repetition of some sort, because this author, when writes, he takes the information from the previous book to reference it to the next one. So thank you so much, Prasips, for joining us. We talk about the guitar, but before we go into the guitar, your upbringing, for you to start playing music, to play drums, what influenced you? What kind of repertoire, the music that you heard first? I know that you are driven by pop music, but was like the music, like the African jazz that was called amajuba, umsakazo. Did they influence you, like the people like the Ntemipiles, or and the Merrymakers? There were so many bands at that time. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Before we continue with this discussion, Bill, I think it's very important for me to congratulate you. Okay. It's very rare that young people undertake a journey of self-discovery, because this is what Billy has done. And I think it's also critical that many of you who are here today walk out of here knowing that what Billy has done is not for now, it's for the future, it's for generations to come. And I think before we even start this conversation, I'd honestly would like to ask all of you to stand up and give a big round of applause to this young man for doing what he has done. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. And I think I am just as privileged to be here, to have worked with you, and in all the years that I've made music, you've been such an inspiration, you've been such a motivator, you've made me understand music differently, compared to many of the people that I've worked with. I'm not really academic musically as you are, as many of you guys would love to be musically. I think for me to make music was probably an inherent thing, You grew up in an environment, you grew up in a society that's surrounded by music. I was born in Shantytown, Diplateng. And now, being born in Shantytown, I would be hearing music on a regular basis. But most influential, coming from the question that you raised about drumming, my drumming was inspired and motivated by traditional healers. As a 4-year-old child, I would be hearing traditional healers opposite my home. And this generous man who'd say to me, "Ngwanaka ke a bona hore ntho ena ha re etsa mehla ena o dutse mona o shebile. O batla na ho tlo bapala hanyane." That's how my drumming began, as a traditional drum player. And the rest became just a sense of curiosity, because I would hear traditional music even on Sundays with mchongolo, with Zulu music, Venda music, Bapedi, and everywhere you heard this music, there was always the drum. So the drum was more central as compared to the guitar you were referring to in your generation. So the drum had become the most central instrument to us creating music. We created rhythm before we would create melody. So that's how I got to start playing drums. But coming to the question of playing pop music, that was in one of the interviews I had on television. I said I became a musician by default. I didn't become a musician because I wanted to be. It was honestly by default, because I met like-minded people, and they were playing the guitar and I was playing the drums. And frankly, the drum that I was playing was more as a cadet band drummer. I did not understand anything about a full drum kit until it was presented to me. And lo and behold, there was this young drummer from Alex, Gerald Koza. I think he must have been about 10 years old. I was 16. He played Take 5. You know, you play Take 5 at that age, at 10, you are in another generation. And Gerald made me understand and taught me how to play a full drum kit.
Wow.
You know, and having made the decision, should I say having made a decision? No. The default decision that I made, and you know, necessitated for me to practice.
Yeah.
I practiced such that I was known and respected by many of my peers as a drummer. Hence the name Hot Sticks. You know, and yeah.
So you said, speaking about practicing, because today we have students in here. I got like same question yesterday, so about practicing. You know, the generation of today, when they practice, first thing they want to do, they grab their phones, they want to be busy with their phones. I mean, like then there were no smartphones. So when you focus on practicing, you really focus on practicing, nothing disturbs you. Unless maybe there will be some police when they come to the door to disturb you, you know what I'm saying? But today, it's a different generation of how we concentrate and how we are driven into, because I mean, like, people, they are more into wanting to get into fame than mastering the art first. You know, and your generation, I'm sure, you rehearsed so many times. I'm sure I can tell everyone that every time we have a gig, no matter after 20 years we've been playing together, or 10 years or 30 years, you will still want to rehearse. You know, why is it important for you to rehearse, even though still we know the music?
You know, what's so very funny, every time, I practice alone, I still get people to say, how? Hey, man, osanzo no practice. You know, after all these years, don't you know the music? And I said, no, I don't know the music. You know, you did something that is very, very special. And as I was sitting there watching, and I thought to myself, wow, what Billy has done is unheard of. I was watching how you move from one style to the other, all the styles of, you know, they have not even heard you play rock and roll. Billy is probably one of the rockiest guitarists you can ever imagine. Everything he was doing here is just part of what he does as a guitarist. And for me, the privilege of having someone like him elevates my understanding of music beyond, you know, what you guys have always known for me to do. Yes, I don't know what the younger people want to sound like or what it is that drives them into music. However, it is very important to emphasize that unless you practice your instrument, you are not able to define yourself in a particular style of music. So practice is part of like reading a book. If you read continuously, reading all the time, find different books to read, you find yourself knowledgeable on things that you never even knew that you understood. So practice just brings that sense of importance and knowledge and learning as you continue. Please enjoy South African music and support South African music, particularly young people who are beginning to make roads, who are beginning to choose music as a career. It's very important that you embrace and you engage the music that they're into. Today's program, in fact, the whole week's program, is a very, very important historic program that would, for future generations to understand that there was music before us, there will be music before them. And in a way that they would advance the music, it should be based on the history that they've learned today, the history that was well presented by Billy and hopefully and the contribution from all the other participants. And if I had made a contribution to today that they can take with them in order for them to advance themselves musically, I'd feel very much happy. I don't know what the young people think music should be for the future. Perhaps they have a new idea of what music should sound like. And yeah, you know, I listen to what you call today amapiano.
Yes.
And in what I try to understand is, where is the piano in that music? I don't hear it. I don't hear the piano, but they call the music amapiano. And yes, it's generational stuff. But at the end of the day, it's how much you want to become a musician. You don't want to limit yourself to a period and to a fashion. Because once you reach a certain point and you've elected to become a musician, then when things get tough, where do you go if you don't know where you've been musically?
Yes. Thank you so much, Bazibe, and adding depth on that. For the past since from Tuesday, there's been this question coming up, and I've answered in my own understanding and my research as far as it's concerned about the music and politics, how related they were during the times of the music that I've presented today, during the African jazz. As I've mentioned, that there was a black consciousness, and you know, I made a relation about, someone asked what is the difference between American music and South African music. And I've given an example that we had the same struggles. The struggle was common, you know, to fight the injustices of you know, of the apartheid government. And the music was a tool to fight the apartheid government. So now, I want to understand something. The musicians of that time, I can say that time from the 1960s, they were not, it was not just about the fame. For them, it was to fight, it was fight for liberation for this country. And the youth today, what what is the youth today fighting for? What can you say about the music of then and what you relate today? Because one of them, just to add, one of the most moments that I felt that we were celebrating and honoring, there was a commemoration to the people who lost their lives in June 16. It was when we did a duet at the Orlando Stadium. You remember that
Yes.
for me, it was a commemoration. People in Good Friday, they go to churches to celebrate the death of Christ. So why then people in June 16, they do not, have that kind of consciousness? So now I'm trying to understand the consciousness of the musicians of that time and the youth now. You have worked with so many youngsters. Well, I'm a youngster too, so I'm sure you have an experience how we think in terms of our consciousness.
I'm not sure if I am that well qualified to speak for a generation way before me.
Yes.
In terms of how they linked politics to the music. But I can only speak about certain periods in which I found myself working within the political strata at the time. I think music has always been central to how people express their feeling, be it through church, be it through work, we can go on. Today, we've seen movements, fees must fall movements.
Yes.
Those they used songs like Sikalela,
Yes.
Sikalela Izwe. Do you all know that song?
Yes.
Ela Tatwa. It was a period in which that music became very important to conscientize society about land.
Yes.
Yes. Even today we still sing that.
Yes.
And there was a song, Sera Samu Tuki Pasa. People carried a reference book and they'd compose music in order to highlight what a reference book means, to people. Now, coming to the generation of the Black consciousness movement, what was now? Yeah. That level of consciousness indicated the level of anger. Because if you remember, before then, politics were more passive. Our people were passive in how they related to politics. But from 1970 onwards, it was confrontational politics. And the music that we made then had to be as robust and had to be as angry, has to be as chanting and revolutionary and direct, affront to the system at that time. So we were inspired by Steve Biko and his generation. We were inspired because remember then, people like Nelson Mandela, Sobukwe had died, Ntate Mutuping was in prison, Nelson and the rest were all in prison. So there was no any political influence at that time until Biko was said, black man, you are on your own, you have to fight your own. So our fight was through music while they fought intellectually, through education and so on. But even that education was part of what we had to do in terms of advancing the struggle against apartheid.
And that, when you say that the music has to have like a direct conversation, a robust conversation with that government, that led to censorship.
Absolutely, led to censorship. And the system at the time was on the back foot. The nationalist government did not even understood that music could play such a critical role.
I'm going to ask you a question that while we're still there, into the censorship. So your song, Burnout, is the one that made you to be the one of the first black person to enter a special building, a special entrance at the SABC.
Well, I did that because I was conscious.
Yeah.
I was a conscientized musician then. I was defiant, and because the song crossed over, and it somewhat made people understand that there was greater music outside their own little environment, you know, and in most cases when I would perform that song, I'd always say to white people, maybe it's time you listen to music from the other side of town.
Yes.
And the reason that I would walk at SABC, it was because I wanted to express the defiance
Yes.
that we can make music just like you, and we can make it even better.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Burnout became that song that crossed there. But then, because of the level of consciousness that I had at that time, when I toured England, I went to a nightclub, and there was this white band that was playing Soweto music, like you said, you know. And I said, what? A white British band playing Soweto music, where would they have found the influence from? And I asked them, they said, well, if you're from South Africa, you should know that this music exists. And I came back home and I thought to myself, wow, it's about time that we look to the source.
Yes.
And the source was Baganga music, was Marabi music, all the music that you've referred to. I recorded Jive Soweto. And I invited some of the specialist players, the guys who were centered around Gallo all the time. There was Jabu, who was the bass player. There's Peliso, who was a guitarist. There was Temba Mokwena, who was part of what we were doing as Harari. Yes. I mean, I wish people could hear that music and listen to what Temba used to do with that music. Hey, for me, being a musician, young musician at that time, was a privilege. I mean, who can boast of having played with Kipi Mwekezi amongst you? You know, I played with Brakipi, I played with Abdullah, I played with Brahu, I played with Sbongile, I played with Ray Piri. You know, I was privileged. I was privileged, and that's how I got home to record what you then considered township pop. And Jive Soweto was. Can I just demonstrate the difference in how this music influenced the way we. The final guitarist you played with, what was his name? Marouane, yes. Mario Chauke, yes. Spoke about that music. And yeah. And, should I play a little?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
And
okay, before we
play, right? We want to talk about that. Your songs, I mean, the composition structure of it, it was not a typical Marabi like I've mentioned before, you know. So this song that is going to give like a demonstration how it sounds, because now speaking about the saxophone has its own voice. A South African saxophone has its own voice, just like the guitar and the other keyboards. Because I've done an interview whereby they asked me, so Billy, this workshop is only for the guitar players.
Yes.
I said everyone is welcome, but the front instrument is the guitar, because the guitar didn't play a solo. It was accompanied by other instruments. You know, if you listen to the Alan Kwela Octet, where he was playing with the Kipi Mwekezi, and you know, he was playing with different musicians, the General Juzes were playing with McKay Divash, you know. So now all this music, perhaps we can have a demonstration for it today, because we've been talking. How about we play in Jive Soweto or?
I don't know which one you will. What? Okay, let's see what we. I need to tune.
So now you see, what is played here is a different rhythm guitar. You know, it's not that. It's an advancement.
That's how it sounds like.
Yeah.
You heard the saxophone is all, there's this wailing sound which you don't get from mostly the Americanized sound of saxophone. The only time that you'll hear the sound is when you listen to South African saxophone players, people like Weston Colsey, people like Lemmy Special.
Yes.
And who I was privileged to have worked with, and they taught me how to play, you know, the kind of, Bra West taught me this,
Yes.
and Lemmy taught me, sorry guys.
Lemmy Special.
Yeah.
You know what I like about this? It's grooving, you know.
Yeah, well, you make people dance. Even the piano, Obama piano, they copied this groove, you know, to bring into their own style. So. You know that wailing sound is a very difficult. It's a sound that you have to continuously learn how to mold your mouth so that it brings out that particular sound.
In a guitar.
Yes.
So now, in many guitars of the 1970s, 80s, they come.
Yes.
You know, and then with the saxophone, you have like, yeah. 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 I can say,
yeah, oblilisé.
Well,
you know that's my Latin.
Rasip, can I request that, you know, we take a break, right? And when we come back, we can bring one of 2, 3 students to join us and play with us on stage.
Yes.
Yes, they brought their instruments.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
This workshop, who is it for? It is for intermediate and advanced musicians. Because if you're a beginner, a workshop is not for you, because no, there's a thin line between teaching and workshopping something. So when we workshop, it's just a matter of trying to advance what you already know, you know, and then teaching someone from the beginning, you know. It's not gonna be practical for us to do that thing in 1 hour, you know. Yeah. And then today we are on day 5. Day 5, I'm looking forward to have like, you know, different groups, you know, they are coming through. Others are coming from Vala, others are coming from Pretoria. You know, there are groups from, I mean, individual groups, you know, from different, you know, stakeholders. And also, you know, one thing I must say is that when you do a project like this, it's difficult to get support. But when I spoke to City of Johannesburg, they they like, what is this guy trying to do? But today, I want to say thank you so much to them because we are in sync.
Okay, it's doti, doti, no. Doti, doti, zombie, doti. Yeah. Okay. It's not moving there. That's why I don't bang straight on it. Yeah. It's simple like that. Oh, it's 1, 2, everybody. Okay, cool. Can you keep from top, guys? Please don't forget to remember these things we do. Hey, no, how is it perceived?
The drama's fine.
Okay.
Drama is perfect.
The drama is fine. Okay, let's go. This mind is not here.
Listen to the drama and the brass.
Yes.
The drama
can you
is-
just even give them just even like a tom, like a dun to cue him in, yeah, or else
No, let him listen to the saxophones, the brass section
Yes.
to complete the whole cycle.
Yeah. Asbay. Hi, I think Kalilan was with hello. Bless up Bill. Okay, cool. From top again. Sorry, guys.
Bill, I think you should conduct them.
Yeah.
1. The girls are good. The girls are good. Yeah, the drummers.
You know, actually, this workshop, you know, it is based on a true story. If someone was to watch a movie and then the movie is like, you know, this is based on a true story, is what is happening now. This workshop is based on the upcoming book. It's a tutorial book that, you know, I wrote over the years, and we're going to publish it this year in September. So the goal of the workshop again is that I need to make it a national tour about it. So now when we make it a national tour, we will be having a book at that time. Then we'll be able to leave the books each and every school that we go to visit, you know, so that we, the kids, the students, they can learn about this art form. The book that I'm about to publish is called Introduction to South African Guitar Styles, Volume 1. That is why it's Volume 1, because there will be Volume 2 that it will present different guitar players of from the 1980s to millennium. So now the Volume 1 concentrates on the guitar players from the 1930s to 1980s. So it's like a 10 decades of old vampa, and so. In that book, we have like documented and written biographies of the past composers and musicians. I mean, guitar players who were like sidemen, played in bands, but they never released albums. And we have the staff notation of it, for someone who knows how to read music, they can go through it, and then there will be an ebook of it, so that when you can't read music, you can click there on the thingy, and then on the link, and then you have the song to reference with. So in this book we speak about we have like about 7 chapters of it. So these chapters, they cover like Maskanda. When we speak about Maskanda, there's no way we can not mention people like John Bengu, who was affectionately known as Pusi Shukela, and another guys from Zimbabwe, the group of guys who were like playing in the street corners of Johannesburg, back in the day, as laborers who came to Johannesburg as laborers, like the George Sibanda, the Josiah Hadebe, like people who introduced Ukupika, like the Petras Mtambo, the Mkashion Ndlovu, and also the Pusi Shukela, Pusi Chemist, pardon me, Pusi Chemist, because he was the one who took this Maskanda and also, riding with it, and Patini Kumalo, So now, when we speak about then African jazz, talk about the people like the General Duze. General Duze was one of the, a successful jazz guitar player of that time, and that acoustic era of General Duze, the Stanford Tsiu, Enoch Tabet, Regime Somi, all those musicians. And then we have the development of African jazz. That was electric guitar. We have Malombo, Philip Tabani, and Mos Mohali. We have the Johnny Fori, and Cyril Makubani, from the Heshu Beshu, and yeah, there were quite a number of them. And Alan Kwela, I cannot forget Alan Kwela. Alan Kwela, he was like the greatest master of that period, who developed jazz. And then into Kwela, we have the people like the Franz Pilani. We still have General Duze. We have like Peter Kumalo. All these people. I wrote the biographies of them. So now the book is about the biographies and the scores. Scores that they're gonna be accompanied by audio as well. Then we have Chitonga, like people like the MD Shirindas, the George Malulek, MJ Hlongwani, Thomas Chauke. People when they talk about Thomas Chauke, it's like one of the pioneer guitar player, of that time. And then we have like the GT Chauke, people who brought revolution in Chitonga music, and. In Mbaqanga, there's no way you talk about Mbaqanga and then you do not speak about Max Mankwani, but before Max there was Almon Memela, and then he recorded with the Dark City Sisters and all that, and then we had like rhythm guitar player Vivian Ngubani, Umkhizo Mncane. That man, he was with Makhona Tsotle. I wrote the biographies as well, so there were quite a number of them, yeah.
My name is Sibusiso Lerole, known as Jack Lerole Jr. South African born, Kwela music penny whistler. Today I've got an invite by Billy Monama for the South African guitar styles to come here and demonstrate to the world how we play our penny whistle on a Kwela music style. Our music, the Kwela music, it's a South African jazz form of kind of music.
This is how it sounded like, the boogie woogie Kwela.
My relationship with Billy is very close and is very sensitive because Billy to me is more than a friend, is more like a brother, because what we are doing, me and him together, it brings back memories when my old man used to say to me, do not let our music die. Do not let our music succumb to any sort of nature or what. Keep our music alive, because by keeping our music alive, that's the best school you can ever get to whatever kind of music you want to get into. So my relationship with Billy and this project, it's closer to heart because we are able to bring back the original sounds of South African music, and we keep the heritage of our music than to adopt more of what we don't understand clearly, but we nurture and improve what our original music is.
Actually, to study music in general is very important, because if you have the street smart and the school, the book smart, you become a better musician, because in the industry, things they don't operate according to the book, So if we have both the combination, one of the things that I can say that the reason you study history is to know what happened in the past, so you can know how to change the future. We learned about past composers, musicians in the past. We learned about their uprisings and their downfalls, and then you learn about how previous musicians, they used to abuse booze, and drugs, and they died like paupers, as paupers, So now, if you learn that life, that people, a certain generation of musicians, they have lived that life, then you as a scholar or as a student learning music, you get to understand that it is very important. And history, it is like a map into the future. If you know and understand the history, you will have a sense of direction of where you're going as a musician. The youth who want to go into the music, they must forget about fame when they begin. Actually, they must just forget about fame. We do this thing because of heart, because we are passionate about it. Now, today's youth is all about instant gratification. So, the youth, they want to do something now, and, they want to have a smash now, a hit now, It's all about that, wanting to trend, and, those things, they never last. Being a musician, like you, an everlasting musician, it has to do with professionalism, a frame, a state of mind, and you need to study a little bit about the business, so that you don't make bad business decisions that you're going to regret in the future. You need to read and get advices from people who came before, so that they can guide you through. So it's not about making money and and having all these greatest endorsements and all, because now if we musicians, we were to tell the truth of the struggle of being a musician. I mean, I've been around for many years, and there are people who have been around for many years who are still available, who are still existing and active today. But you find that there's a musician who just come this year, tomorrow, and then it's over with him because of what? He or she was made by a song. If a musician is made by a song, it's very easy to forget him, because he's going to be remembered by a song. So now, but if you have a musician who has all these elements that he has, like professionalism and all that, he will have a longevity in the business.
Mina nguMaroya Chauke lo ucula music weShangana wesintu. I'm coming from Malamlele in the village called Rhodes, Shigalo. I'll say that in my family, my uncles were artists. The late G.T. Chauke inspired me a lot to become who I am today. I grown up in a family where they were doing music.
What is the biggest problem you have encountered in the journey of music?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy thing. To be honest with you, to be where I am today, I'll tell you it's more than 20 years. In the early 1990s, when things were not easy, were tough, for me to play a guitar, I had to walk a distance to get somebody who can borrow me a guitar to play. I remember when I did my first album in 2006, I had to travel to Pretoria to looking for a studio, which was cheaper for me to afford then, to raise 2005 rand. It wasn't an easy thing, it was tough. You know, I'll get more into the radio because that's where our music get promoted. If the compilers can have changed their mindset towards us artists, I think that can take us somewhere in the music, because that's where the problem is. You've got a music that cannot be played, and then we do this for the people to listen to. As a Tsonga speaking person, my music only gets played at one station, Munganlonen. When I go to other radio station, I'm being referred back to go to Munganlonen. And to me, I thought things have changed. So if that mindset of the compilers or whoever that decide to send us back can change, I'll be the happiest artist ever. I think it's more of history here, teaching youth where the music starts. Because if you can see that Billy is trying to write the book, or he wrote the book that he wanted to be used in the schools for people to know the roots where the music comes from. But it's more of history, where the music comes from, like the African music, like locally, South Africans.
I don't want to go into depth without inviting someone who's gonna, bring his expertise in playing this music. He's a recording artist as well. Welcome, Mr. Maroya Chauke.
Sure.
Can we have the guitar tree? So now look at this, MD Shirinda. The likes of
I show it till. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
No one can speak stronger here, ne? Yeah? How many of you? So can I speak stronger today?
No. Okay.
Yeah, like bula naman. Billy?
Yes.
I'm
fukile but again.
It's on our semen.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Mina ngilapha sibulabule with the guitar players of that time and okay. So now the people of the guys like the Samson Tombeni, the MD Shirinda, that was a different generation from with the Thomas Chauke and the rest. So I know there are not all of them there, but I just chose them the groundbreaking ones. Those who came and innovated, this kind of music and developed it. What was from the beginning of the guitar, the tuning of it? How did they tune the guitar? Was it different from the Western? What influenced the sound of Chitsonga music? What the people like Dr. Shirinda would play like? What will be sounding like from what we know as a cliche that when you play Chitsonga music, it should be on a higher register,
Like blah blah changana naman.
Okay, cool.
What bashilungu san. With the tuning of the guitar, I would like to say it's one the same thing, because when you play the song by MD Shirinda, I think he's the first Chitsonga guitar player, if I'm not mistaken. I'm happy that I saw Sipo today. If something I don't know, he should be able to assist, because those guys together, they were like they worked like as a team. There was no Chitsonga or Zulu or whatever. You remember the song that was done by Obed Ngobeni? When people grew up, they knew the song. It was for Matlatin.
Yeah.
And if you can go back, you'll find that the person who played the music, that it was not a Tsonga person.
Yeah.
Because those guys, they used to work together. It's unlike us these days. We are separated. You have to feel that you are a Tsonga artist. Even when you take your music to Ukozi FM, the question you'll get is that, have you been to Munganlonene?
Yes.
MD Shirinda, during his term, his time, he was able to collaborate with the likes of Ray Peer and your Paul Simon, I think is from America.
Yeah.
The tuning is the one that you use. So I'll assume that then they use the Western tuning. What I want the youth to know is that music alone won't sustain you. I always tell the youth to consider going to school first. I understand you can be famous today, but fame fade out. So if you have studied, you've got something to hold on. I'll say to them, they must consider getting their matric first, their university's degrees if possible.
So I made it for free, so that a black person, a black child can get here and learn for free. This is what we're talking about, a free education. So I think I've executed it through this 5-day workshop. Someone who can't afford to go to school, they can get in a taxi and be here. Because if I make it like late in the evening, there will be they cannot afford like things like transport, like Ubers and all that. So many people, they're asking me, so much Billy manje, why am I now saying, if I start late, people, they won't be having transport. I'm trying to accommodate everyone, yes, absolutely. But so now, who this workshop for? Those who couldn't, be able to watch, to come to attend the workshop, like people who are like working during the day. So that is why we're streaming it. We're gonna stream it on the 18th of June, so that everyone, they can log on and then they watch what we have done.
Just so